of the Why So Serious Show on BlazeRadioOnline.com.
It is Wednesday, and it is time for the Why So Serious Show. Jesse Morrison, Matt Kling, Evan Osherwitz, Mallory Schnell, and for a portion of the show, Jeremy Schnell, because he didn't watch Hard Knocks.
Whoa, wait, you guys are going to talk about Hard Knocks?
Get out of here.
Wait, you guys are going to talk about Hard Knocks? I haven't watched it yet. Oh my gosh, I better go.
Right.
That was so awkward and, stiff.
That was great.
Mallory, put it on the poll. Was it so awkward and, stiff?
This guy was in a commercial once.
Yes, no, and Jeremy.
This guy was in a commercial. You'd think he'd know how to act.
Wait, he was in a commercial?
Yes.
Wait,
he was.
put yes, no, or that's what she said on that poll.
No, none of that.
How about just Jeremy and that's what she said as your two options? Don't even yes or no it. Do it.
I don't want to make this poll anymore.
Yeah, we're now scrapping the poll. Jeremy ruined it. Jeremy's ruining everything. Why is he so incompetent?
Yeah, Mallory, make sure he's locked in whatever room he went.
He closed the door in his
But
room.
let me tell you, oh my gosh, everyone, Hard Knocks is back. It's the greatest show of all time.
And
We had Sean McVay. We had Anthony Lynn. They were the contrasting styles of old school and new school. And we had so much concern placed on the coronavirus. It was the Los Angeles Rams are training outside in an outside bubble environment away from their facility. It is absolutely crazy. Everyone's getting tested by the daily. They are trying to make this thing work. But let me tell you,
where they're playing's really nice too. It looked really nice.
Yes. Was it great to have that music back? Was it great to have Liev Schreiber on the voiceovers? Yes, all of it was amazing, and I enjoyed every minute of it, even though it was unbelievably surreal and kind of scary at the same time.
Yes, but I think really the main point of the show, if we want to traditionalize it as the sports talking point, is Jalen Ramsey on the show, which
he's made for Hard Knocks. He was born to be on Hard Knocks.
And he shined essentially last night, all because he had a spat during a media session with reporters.
He was accused of sexual assault over the offseason.
Yeah, well, they didn't talk about that, but he is trying to get a good contract, and he deserves a good contract, but he won't talk about it. He'll say it's up to his agent and the team, and then, a follow-up question, and then he just got upset because he was asked a follow-up question, and then stormed off, and then the media people told him to get back into the Zoom session, and when he returned, he was still complaining about being asked a follow-up question. He was going to have the same answer to. Yes, Jalen Ramsey is one of the best players in the National Football League, probably one of the top 3 cornerbacks in the National Football League, and he deserves his payday. And yes, the Rams gave up a lot to get him, and honestly, Jacksonville should be ashamed that they gave him up. Jalen Ramsey is a great player. Will he get that contract? Yes. Will the Rams extend him? Who knows?
The moment when Joey Bosa signed his contract was
I
liked that. Evan, did you watch it?
I watched parts of it. My favorite part was the target practice that Justin Herbert was doing while wearing a mask, just throwing absolute darts. I'm not a big Justin Herbert fan. I thought he was very overrated in college, but
he looks great in practice, dude.
Yeah.
He looks so.
That's what I'm saying. No, he looks good. He looks good.
Okay. I was on the field before the Oregon and ASU game, and he played terrible. Jaden Daniels outshined him by but he could throw a ball, man. His ball is so nice. It is such a nice, just has a zip on it. I don't know if he'll be any good. Actually, I think he's kind of going to be a bust. But at the same time, it's fun to watch him. And I do like the two teams thing. I think it's cool that they switch back and forth, especially now when they don't have those preseason games to just bail out the 20 minutes of segment that they're like, oh, here's the preseason game. And which honestly is cool, but like I care more about the knock on wood if you're with me, everybody.
I don't have anything.
I'm knocking.
You have a bedpost behind you.
Yeah, but that would hurt, so I'm not going to do that.
But
I also thought
Anthony Lynn had COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, and Anthony Lynn's very emotional and very old-fashioned, and I really like the moment toward the end where one of the guys that he was cutting kind of barged in on Anthony Lynn right after he was telling somebody else that that other player was being cut. And I liked how Anthony Lynn went to his GM and said, "You know what? I like that guy, for standing up for himself."
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't have been like it sucks. It's just another product of the pandemic that these guys show up to camp for 5 days and they don't really get to show what they can do, and they're just cut because they have to keep the numbers low because of a stupid freaking pandemic that everyone is tired of. It's just another stupid, annoying consequence that's necessary, but at the same time awful.
Here's what I think the NFL should do is, with all these training camp guys that are going to be cut inevitably, in case that there is an outbreak with a team, I say the people that get cut, beyond the handful of players that get to be on the practice squad, I think the remaining players should be on a furlough list where they're still contractually obligated by the team to be with the team, essentially. I mean, obviously don't practice, don't show up on game days, but still be on standby in case something happens. Now if they're on this furlough list, they could go to another team should they choose. But I think having kind of a pool essentially is what the NFL should do.
Well, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. This doesn't apply to every team. It certainly doesn't apply to the Rams or Chargers in any major way. But with all the guys who have opted out, that also opens up spots for these young guys to make the team that otherwise wouldn't be there. So I think there's enough vacancies on most teams' rosters to not have to do that, because there's going to be a lot of guys who wouldn't make the team ordinarily that are going to get spots because those guys didn't show up. So I think it does create a unique opportunity for some of these like undrafted free agents that they otherwise wouldn't have.
I think there needed to have been a bubble, but again, we're past that point with the NFL.
We're not going to get to that point.
We're not going to get to that point with the NFL. So if they're going to go ahead and be stupid, which they're being stupid for money, which is, not sugarcoating things, they need to have an NFL practice squad. So a 56-man roster that can just slide in for a team if they need to, if there's a team that tests positive. So there's no breaks in the schedule.
So basically a backup team.
A backup team, like replacement players.
A replacement team.
A replacement team.
Essentially, which Major League Baseball should have, essentially, too.
Well, I mean, every team does, but for some reason the Cardinals can't just call up their taxi squad and play them against all these other teams.
No, and I think they don't want
MLB should force them.
Yeah, they would lose a ton of games doing that.
Yeah, but the MLB should force them to do it, because apparently what I'm seeing now, I'm not 100% sure of this, but it was like some guy went to get a haircut. I thought these teams have like barbers that they have themselves, like that, quarantine and stuff. So I don't know. So the Cardinals should just be banned. They've won 2 World Series in the last 15 years and went to another one. Just get them out of the league. You know what I'm saying, Mallory?
Why are you asking me?
The Cardinals should be banned, right?
They got their They had a second straight day of negatives, which is
Wait,
good.
put that on the poll. Should the Cardinals be banned?
Yeah, Mallory. Should the Cardinals be banned? And make sure to hashtag Cardinals there. Mallory, did you watch Hard Knocks?
No.
What? Why? It's the greatest thing of all time.
I watched it back in the day when the Dolphins were on it, and I didn't really like it.
I gotta go call my grandma. Do you remember that? One of the cornerback that ended up retiring at halftime for the Bills, he got traded to the Colts, and he walks in. First of all, he's wearing like terrible cargo like pants. They're awful, and they say, we've traded you to the Colts, and it was Vontae Davis, and Vontae Davis goes, like the first thing he says is, I want to go call my grandma. And then the coach is like, no, I got to tell you like that you still have a bright future and stuff. It's like an all-time top 5 or top 3 Hard Knocks moment of all time. But yeah, Hard Knocks is like right up there with The Last Dance for me of being just almost better than the sports themselves.
I think a lot of NFL films produced stuff is too. Like if you've ever watched All or Nothing, like All or Nothing, the first season they did it with the Arizona Cardinals. I watched every episode of it until the last episode, which I refused to watch to this day because that was the episode where they went and got drubbed by Carolina in the NFC Championship game. But yeah, NFL Films does a great job. Last night was the first time I ever watched Hard Knocks. So
Really?
yeah, I never had HBO before.
Wow.
So
Oh well, I just get a free trial every week.
I pay $15 for HBO a month. On top of all the money I pay for cable. So
Why do you pay for cable?
because I have good internet. That's why.
I'm cutting the cord for life, man. Like after now that I figured out I can just sign into my parents' account and just have it on my Xbox or on
Well, what happens when your parents go away, though?
then I'll pay for my own thing. But thanks for killing off my parents, Matt.
I'm not killing off your parents. I'm just saying, what if?
Yeah, well, it's gonna happen because they're 56 years old. But like, thanks a lot, Matt.
You gotta be self-dependent, dude.
I am self-dependent.
You are
Once I
self-dependent.
kick the bucket, which I really don't want to think about. I hope I don't have to think about that for at least 30 years.
Now, this got really dark.
What is going on here?
We went from Jesse not paying for cable to dead parents.
No.
Yeah, I don't like.
Wait, but no. What I should say is, what if they cut the cord?
What if they cut the cord?
Yeah, what if they cut the cord?
Then I will buy my own cable package, of course.
Okay. That's what you should have said initially.
I'll probably get like Sling.
Find an apartment that comes with cable, like mine.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I signed a lease.
Also, it's those apartments that come with cable, crappy quality cable.
It was great.
No,
I had no issues with their cable. It was Dish. Actually, it wasn't even cable. It was Dish. Dish is okay. The only problem with Dish is that they're cheapskates, and so they're always in battles with TV channels on like you
Yeah, I
don't
know.
have NBC right now because
I
we're
know.
in a legal
You're in
battle.
a battle with the company that owns the station. I know.
Mallory, is Dish Network always in a battle with a channel over?
I'm sure
Right?
something with a media company.
Yeah, are they always in a battle with a media company? Because I don't know, because ASU also has Dish, and if you ever noticed that like ASU cable was always having that issue, especially with Fox Sports Arizona.
Yeah, no, I definitely noticed. But thankfully, my roommate had FSAZ Go, so I was able to watch every Suns and Coyotes game this year. Thanks, Kobe.
All right, NHL was big today. After NHL, I forgot to mention this. We have an awesome interview that we did before the show. Me, Matt, and Evan with Hod Rabino, my boss at Devil's Digest, also the publisher of DevilsDigest.com, the rival site, covering Arizona State on all of the crazy college football news. And they get to roast me at the end, which is always everyone's favorite thing to do. But NHL. We had to delay more games today because we had another crazy multiple overtime game between Boston.
Crazy though. That's normal.
It's pretty crazy when you go to 2 overtimes. Anytime you go to multiple overtimes, it's pretty crazy. Evan, take it away.
I mean, Jesse knows a thing or two about 2 overtime games involving the Hurricanes because that happened in Game 7 against the Caps last year. Just needed to work.
Luckily, I had to work on a school assignment that night, so it was just kind of like a follow along kind of thing for me. And then it was just an unfortunate ending.
Yeah, and there's also the thing that you won the cup the year before, so maybe
it was kind of last year when we lost. I was like, yeah,
it's a mulligan.
But
anyway,
put it on the
I
poll.
still don't like Carolina though.
The year after winning a championship, like just a meh year. Like as a fan, like you don't care what happens. Put that on the poll. Do you care what happens the year after your team wins a championship?
Yeah. Well, Jesse was a happy camper this morning because the Bruins.
I was for 2 periods.
This morning, like early morning, because this game was supposed to happen yesterday, And then that 5 overtime fiasco between Columbus and Tampa happened. So they moved this game.
That was the best game of the season.
It was, but it was also
It was a double header with double overtime.
It was an enjoyable fiasco, but still a fiasco. So Carolina and Boston's game 1 got moved to 11 p.m. Eastern time today. And like Jesse said, there were a lot of similarities between this game and the Jackets Lightning game yesterday.
Hold on, I got to interrupt for a second. Dish Network is a satellite company, but we'll let it go for now. She said, "Is Dish Cable always in a battle with the media company?" Dish Cable.
That's what Matt told me to.
Oh, no, the media company part. I didn't say Dish Cable. It's Dish Network.
Just leave it. It's funny.
All right. So anyway, like Jesse said, this game was actually like eerily similar to the Jackets Lightning game yesterday, aside from the number of overtimes. This one only went 2 overtimes, thankfully. But there were some more officiating woes today. And Rod Brindamore, the coach of the Hurricanes.
No more officiating bashing. Go talk about the game.
Yeah.
This is relevant because it's literally news, Jesse. As I was saying before I was rudely interrupted for the second time in about 30 seconds, Rod Brindamore, the coach of the Hurricanes, left this game down $25,000 because he trashed the officials over a goal that totally should not have counted. Like, this was ridiculous. It was in the second period. Peter Mrazek had the puck covered in the blue paint. Nick Ritchie, who's been absolutely brutal since the Bruins traded for him, by the way, he buries his stick underneath Mrazek's glove, digs out the puck, passes it to Charlie Coyle, who taps into the open net. There's no whistle. There's 1,000 different reasons why this goal shouldn't have counted, and the officials just turn a blind eye to it. Carolina challenges. They lose the challenge. Boston gets a power play. And Brindamore was saying that when the official came over to him, he wouldn't tell him what the call on the ice was. The official comes up to him and he says, "You got 2 things you can challenge for, glove hand pass or goalie interference." So Brindamore's like, "Okay, bro, like what?" So he challenges for glove hand pass. They review it for like 2 seconds. They call it a good goal. Brindamore blows his top, and rightfully so, because it shouldn't have counted. They scored a shorthanded goal on the ensuing power play, though, which is the second game in a row that happened in, because it happened in the Hawks-Knights game last night. So it ended up evening out, but still, like, the officiating has been terrible. And then later in, this was in the second overtime, it didn't affect the outcome of the game per se, but first, the officials miss a very obvious slash on Brady Shea, broke his stick in half. The linesman's right there. Linesmen can call penalties if they see them. There's no call. And then Shea gets called for a phantom hook on Charlie Coyle 30 seconds later. Boston goes to the power play. They don't score. But then about a minute later, they bury the game winner. It's Bergeron. Mrazek had a terrible angle on that. He didn't play it right. I understand why Brindamore was upset after the game. But either way, Canes are down 1-0. I thought they played okay. Boston outshot them by a wide margin, but I still think the Canes will probably win this series. Game 1's usually a feeling out process anyway, and this game definitely felt like that. But because of the 2 overtimes, the next game was delayed a little bit, and I know Jesse has some opinions about this one because the Caps were involved, and it didn't really go their way.
Yeah,
the first two periods were really solid. A very physical game right from the start. Anders Lee knocked Nick Backstrom out of this game about 2 minutes in with a blindside, blatant interference. Like, it was a minor penalty. They got that part right, but like,
yeah, it wasn't that bad of a hit, but still, it's not cool.
It was clearly interference. Very late, definitely a blindside hit. And Lee ended up fighting with Tom Wilson later in that period and ate a few right hands from Tommy Boy.
I love him.
Yeah, he had a good game today.
I think he's my second favorite player in the league.
The Caps were definitely energized by that hit because, again, that's your number 1 center getting knocked out of the game after 2 minutes by the other team's captain. And the Islanders' penalty kill is still a huge issue. It wasn't good in the qualifying round against Florida. and it wasn't good today either. TJ Oshie gets a couple of power play goals in the second period after there was no scoring in the first. So it looks good for Washington. And then the bad Braden Holtby decided to show up. The first goal, it's a wrister from about 50 feet out from Jordan Eberle, not a guy who's known for having a great shot.
It was a shorthanded goal. So you can kind of blame the defense there.
Not that one. This one was 5-on-5, but he still should have had it. There was no
Oh,
screen.
yeah.
There was no screen in front. He saw the shot, and he just whiffed on it with the glove. So they go into the second intermission with the score 2-1. He almost let in another one a few seconds before the intermission after TJ Oshie iced the puck. Oshie also stopped a shorthanded breakaway from JG Pajot, though, where Holtby completely lost his net, was completely out of the blue paint. TJ just kind of swipes it off the goal line like it's nothing. He had a good game.
It should be the top player on SportsCenter. I'm really hoping.
Yeah. And then the third period happened, and the Capitals just completely fell apart. The wheels completely came off. The Islanders tied the game on a puck that deflected off of Michael Kempny. Holtby made the initial save, but Lee was right on the doorstep for the rebound. I don't put that one on Holtby. I think he actually did a really good job stopping the first shot because it changed direction on him right in front of the net. So that's good. It's fine.
Freeze, though. Like you can't admit that he was just like
he was in position though, and like he did get handcuffed by the puck because Kempny was 2 feet in front of him. It glances off his shin. Like, what are you gonna do? You can't react that quickly. It hits him in the chest, bounces right to his pad, and Lee buries it because he's right there. So
his fault as it wasn't his fault.
It's not on him. That's a tough one to stop.
Last 2 goals though.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll get to that. Washington goes back to the power play.
Good goal.
Yeah. Washington goes back to the power play. I think it was Pajot who dumps it in to get a change for the Islanders. Holtby comes out of the net to play it. He's got Carlson to his right with no one on him. The easy thing to do here would be either go behind the net, bank it off the end boards, or just like give it to him, just like little outlet pass. Instead, he decides to pass to the other side where there's clearly an Islanders forechecker. Nelson says, "Thank you very much," feeds it to Bailey. Easy shorthanded goal. Islanders take the lead. And I don't know what Holtby was thinking on this one, guys. Like,
so bad. It was so bad. Like he's just not the same guy. I think he's still good, but he needs a change of scenery. He needs to get out of Washington.
Oh.
well, the thing is, he wasn't done, guys.
23 years old. Let's get him ready. I mean, I know he's out now, but once he's good and healthy, if he's good and healthy, I mean, he broke his back. But if he's good and healthy to go, Samsonov all the way. It's my opinion.
He's injured right now, but yeah.
I know, I said that.
He looks pretty good. But Holtby wasn't done because a couple minutes after that, it's an odd man rush for the Islanders. I think it was Barzal who had the initial shot. It's right into Holtby's glove, but he doesn't catch it. It bounces off his glove right onto the stick of Bailey, feeds it across to Beauvillier, wide open net, 4-2 Islanders. So Holtby cost his team 3 goals today. They end up losing 4-2. Yeah, and I have a hard time believing that he's going to be in a Capitals jersey next year, like Jesse said. He's going to get paid because he was the Stanley Cup champion 2 years ago, but I don't think Washington's going to give him the money he wants because they've got Samsonov in the pipeline. He looked good this year, and Vanacek looked pretty good in the exhibition game too. So I think it's possible they could roll with those 2 guys and spend that money elsewhere. But I mean, someone's going to give him a payday. Someone is going to pay Braden Holtby.
They could use some youth and some young guys that aren't goalies. And so I think that I'd be cool with it. Yeah, I was super excited. I mean, they looked great for the first 2 periods, especially with just the physicality aspect of things. But once we got into the third period, a little bit toward the end of the second, it kind of started to unravel. And I know it's kind of selfish of me to say typical Caps after we won the Cup 2 years ago, but typical Caps.
Yeah, and having John Carlson back in the lineup made a huge difference for Washington today. He had 2 assists, both on the power play, obviously, because they didn't score 5-on-5. But I thought he had a good game.
Islanders
tried
won the series in 6.
Tried to fight Lee after the hit on Backstrom, which I thought was very telling because he's not 100%. We know he's not fully healthy, but he was still willing to stick up for his assistant captain there. So John Carlson, great player. I think the Caps still have a very good chance to win this series, but
Isles in 6.
again, like Holtby has to play better.
Isles in 6.
That was what I predicted, actually. You can go to my Twitter if you want to see my playoff predictions. Again, like they didn't score 5-on-5 today, and we know how frustrating the Isles can be in terms of just like limiting scoring chances. Like ask Florida fans. But Washington can do this. They've been here before. They just need solid goaltending. If Holtby played like he did in the last round robin game against the Bruins, they would have won this game. But again, the bad Holtby showed up. So
Most inconsistent athlete I've ever seen in my life. Literally the best
that's
goalie in
most
the history of the league, or the worst goalie in the history of the league at the same time.
There's so many goalies you can make that argument for, though. Like Marc-Andre Fleury, there was a stretch where he could go like great playoff, bad playoff, great playoff. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, goaltenders are just very hard to figure out sometimes, and this is definitely one of those times with Holtby. But we had 2 more games today besides that one. My Montreal Canadiens were in the playoffs officially for the first time in 3 years today, and honestly, they played really well. They didn't win the game, but I thought up until the start of the third period, this is their best game since the restart. Carey Price, again, was fantastic. He made arguably, it might be the best save I've ever seen in a hockey game. I'm not going to show the replay because it's hard to appreciate the full beauty of this save on a phone. But if you Google or like look this up on Twitter and like zoom in, it's ridiculous. So what happens is Kevin Hayes basically has a wide open net. Price tried to go for a 2-pad stack on Scott Lawton. He made the initial save, but he lost his net. He's out of the blue paint. So he just reaches through the crease with his stick. Hayes has a wide open net. Like, this is a shot you can't miss. And he just barely gets a piece of it with the stick. It was insane. At that point, it was a 1-0 game. So that really kept them in it.
I'm watching it now. It's insane.
It's a great save.
They finally got a power play goal today. Weber, who's been playing lights out after a rough first 2 games against the Penguins.
He lost the game.
There was no chance for Hart on that one. But 16 seconds later, the Flyers answered with another goal. It was just a lazy clearing attempt by Ben Sherratt. They got a little too cocky after they scored the power play goal, I think. They just lost their focus for 16 seconds, and that's all it took. That ended up being the game winner. They really pushed hard in the third. Suzuki hit a post with like 30 seconds left with the goalie pulled. He had a great game, by the way. Nick Suzuki, I'm guaranteeing you, this guy is going to get at least 60 points next year. You can mark my words on that. You can put that on the poll. Is Suzuki going to get 60 points? The answer is yes. It's fantastic. The young guys for the Canadiens have been their best players in this series. And Arturi Lehkonen, I got to bring this up. He had the series-winning goal against the Penguins. And again, tonight, all around the net, so many good scoring chances. But the guy just has no puck luck right now. He could not buy a goal. There was a 2-on-0. It's a guaranteed goal, and he just slips and falls. Ruins the 2-on-0. And there were 3 other chances where he had a partial breakaway and just missed the net wide. The guy could have had 4 goals tonight. But again, the bounces just were not going his way. So the Canadiens end up losing 2-1. But I think they proved to everybody that they can tangle with the Flyers and that this is going to be a close series. I still think Philly wins it, but I think they have a chance. And then the 4th game is still in progress. It's St. Louis versus Vancouver.
Yeah,
that one's tied at 2 right now.
Schwartz just scored. So a few minutes ago, while you're talking about the Caps game, I was reacting to seeing in real time Jaden Schwartz scoring a breakaway goal, and he went between the goalie's legs. Like, he went 5-hole on him. It's an insane goal. Also, the Avalanche shut out the Coyotes, but
Oh, we forgot
have to
about
talk
that
about
game.
that.
No,
We
we have to talk about that game. No, we do. So after this game, I want to start with this.
Hold
After
on,
this,
now put it on the poll. Yes or no?
after this game, Rick Tocchet was asked what he thought of his team's effort today, and he said, "I'm disappointed in this club. This is a big opportunity for us, and we had the worst practice since I've been here yesterday." So the Coyotes have some issues right now.
How do you have a bad practice, though? That's all. This is. Look,
How do you have a bad practice is one thing. How do you have a bad practice the day before your first playoff game in almost a decade is another thing. So in the Nashville series, a common theme with the Coyotes was they would allow a ton of shots early. Kemper would make a ton of big saves, get in his zone, and then they just go right down the ice and score a goal on their first or second shot. Today, part of that happened. The Avalanche were absolutely barraging the Coyotes' net with shots. They were under siege. At one point, the shots were 21-6 in favor of Colorado, and it was a scoreless tie because Kemper is just a brick wall. They could not get shots through Colorado's defense. Everything was getting blocked. And when they got zone time, half the time they couldn't even get past center ice. It was a pathetic effort today for the Coyotes. They ended up having 14 shots on net, but because Kemper was so good, this game was tied until 10 minutes left in the third period, and Colorado gets a power play.
They'll draw.
It was a questionable call against Derek Stepan. I didn't think it was interference. The guy went down kind of easy, but again, that's not the story of today's game. The story of today's game is the Coyotes had 14 shots in a playoff game, and Kemper kept them in it until 10 minutes left. So they score on the power play. They add another one 10 seconds later, and then another one a minute after that. So at that point, it's done. You know the Coyotes aren't scoring 3 goals in 8 minutes. And Kemper ended up with 37 saves on 40 shots, I think. Grubauer barely had to move in this one. Gets the easiest shutout in NHL history, 14 saves. This series could be over in a hurry, guys. I mean, Colorado was completely dominant in this game. Nathan McKinnon, believe it or not, did not have a shot on goal, and the Avs still blew the Coyotes out of the water. So, yeah, I'm not feeling optimistic about the Coyotes' chances here.
No, the Coyotes, I mean, I don't know whether you can blame that loss on Kemper or not. Or
Definitely not. This could have been 8 or 9-0 if not for Kemper.
Yeah.
He was the Coyotes today. And Rick Tocchet said that. He said basically we were just terrible for 60 minutes and Kemper kept us in the game, which is what happened.
Yeah.
But if your coach is throwing every single skater on the team under the bus, you know you got a problem. So I'm not really sure what you do to fix this, but they have to play better in game 2. They have to.
Yep. Definitely.
Mallory, did you put on the poll?
No.
Why?
Because 2 seconds ago you said polls are stupid. So
It's because you don't get the show. All right. Now that we're done with the hockey segment, we will move on to Matt, Evan, and I's interview with Hod Rabino of Devil's Digest. Welcome back to the Why So Serious show. Jesse Morrison joined alongside Evan Osherwitz and Matt Kling, and we have a very special guest, publisher of DevilsDigest.com, Hod Rabino. Hod, unfortunate news yesterday, but just how are you doing overall?
I'm doing good. I was telling somebody earlier today, it's almost like the hangover effect today after the news that came down yesterday. I mean, first thing you wake up in the morning, it's you say to yourself, like, wow, yesterday really did happen, didn't it?
So with the Pac-12's decision and the Big Ten's decision, do you think they made the right decision here?
I think if you're going to govern your decision strictly by science and by the medicine, and that's something that we heard a lot from the commissioners of both conferences, and I would say yes. This heart condition that the myocarditis, I think it's called, I'm probably butchering the name, even though I probably should know it by now, is a condition that maybe wasn't as prevalent as it was back in June compared to as it's been end of July, beginning of August. And don't forget, I mean, the Pac-12 did announce their conference-only schedule on July 31st. And here they are, not even a week and a half later, declaring a postponement of the fall football season to the spring. And I'm not sure about the exact date that the Big Ten announced their own schedule, but it wasn't too far before the Pac-12 did. So there has been a dramatic shift in events, and they just saw student athletes only in football, but all across the fall sports in both conferences have this heart condition that is extremely serious. It's really almost on the same level as a CTE, brain trauma, where 5-7 years down the road, you can find yourself in a really, really tough, if not terminal situation. So that, unfortunately, for the two conferences was really the game changer. You have other three Power 5 conferences that are going to plow along. We'll see how that goes for them. But the Big Ten and the Pac-12 decided to err on the side of caution during a pandemic. You really can't blame them.
And you mentioned the possibility of spring football schedule. I've heard a lot of mixed opinions on this. What's your take on that? Do you think it's feasible to play a full 12 games in the spring and then have a quick turnaround in the fall?
I would say it's barely feasible to play 8 games in the spring. And I think that's what's going to happen, because you look at the NFL, even the big boys over there would never entertain the notion of playing 2 seasons in a 12-month calendar period. So I think that you may not even see a 10-game season in January. You might just see us an 8-game season. And it might also start in February, March. We don't know yet. Obviously, you have the predicament of the NFL willing to delay their draft from April to June, which there are some whispers right now that they are willing to do that. But until they officially come out and say it, it's really anybody's guess. But just in general, as far as playing any fall sports, especially a sport like football, which really came out of a bubble environment, like I said, it's a 50-50 proposition at best, in my opinion. Nobody should be shocked if we may not see college football until September of 2021.
If there is a spring season, how many players would you think would opt out of the spring season?
If I'm looking at Arizona State itself, look, I mean, you don't have a Trevor Lawrence or a Justin Fields that has a lot riding on playing this late in the year. They're not a surefire first round pick, let alone top 5 pick as those two players. So Arizona State, in that sense, I think is somewhat lucky. Even if you look at a linebacker as Merlin Robertson, which is just a given that he is going to declare after this upcoming season, he still has some film he really needs to show NFL scouts. Because if you look at Merlin Robinson, his production from his freshman year to sophomore year, it did take somewhat of a dip, called sophomore slump. I think with him was really more a lot of off the field issues that affected his performance in 2019. So he definitely needs to show NFL scouts that he can play at that level he did as a freshman in 2018, if not better than that. And even seniors such as Jack Jones and Chase Lucas, who have been dreaming about playing in the NFL for the longest time, they still need to show more on film to boost their NFL draft stock. So in that sense, I would call Arizona State a lucky team, maybe compared to a team like USC, which I could see some players sitting out, especially if the NFL is staying firm in its draft date. So as far as the ASU is concerned, I don't really expect any players to not play just because of the looming NFL draft, if you will.
I'm kind of worried about just the future of college athletics other than football. I mean, football, probably men's and women's basketball, baseball, softball, probably they're kind of the sports that would definitely stay no matter what. But like, what do you think would happen if, like this pandemic is still raging on in January? They can't play any of these fall sports. The revenue doesn't come in from football. That they might even have to cancel the spring seasons. Like, what happens to these other sports like, volleyball and track and field and cross country? What happens to those?
Well, it's anybody's guess, but when we had our conversation with Ray Anderson yesterday, he sounded pretty resolute that he is not itching to cut any sports or anything like that. I mean, he didn't portray a picture of ASU having such deep pockets that the financial concern is really not a concern at all. I don't think he went as far as that. But look, I mean, there have been some Pac-12 teams that have instituted some salary cuts. I think Arizona did, Oregon State, or Oregon, or maybe both of them did. So the fact that Arizona State hasn't done it yet probably speaks to some extent about their financial health. But obviously, every program is going to have its breaking point, and you never know that maybe come February, March, like you said, if there aren't going to be any sports at all, if Arizona State is not going to be forced to make any tough decisions. So I think it's also a matter of where you're willing to spend your money, because a lot of programs in the Pac-12 and maybe around the country are really alarmed by Stanford, by the amount of sports that they cut. But look, Stanford just made a hard cash business decision, if you will, because their endowment is the hundreds and hundreds of millions. They could have salvaged all those sports and not even cut one of them, but they decided to spend their money elsewhere, if you will. So I don't know if Stanford is really a red light alarm for the rest of the Pac-12 if they need to cut sports too. They had the money, they decided just not to spend it, but maybe some other schools down the road are going to make forced to make that really tough decision, depending what their finances are. But give ASU credit. Right now, they've been very, very fortunate. No salary cuts, no furloughs, nothing that really forced them to take severe financial measures.
And something that I wondered is, not trying to like judge other, conferences and their institutions of higher learning. I know Duke is a very good school, UNC is a very good school, but like, do you think that with the Big Ten and the Pac-12, that the fact that there's Stanfords and Northwesterns and those kind of schools, and even ASU's number one in innovation, do you think that has something to play into this, and just the fact that, there might just be smarter people working with these schools?
Well, I'll put it this way. Pac-12 fans, not only ASU fans, have always been complaining about the lack of passion of the Pac-12 community. And look, you talk about the SEC, football being a religion, SEC, it's different right here, whatever the commercial says. And it is true. And I think that this may be an example where your passion for the sport of football is maybe getting the best of you. And maybe you're not making the most rational decisions. Look, Vanderbilt, that's an Ivy League school for all intents and purposes. They're part of the SEC. Mm-hmm. Now, is their voice being muted compared to the Alabamas and the LSUs? Sure, yeah, I can see that scenario. We haven't heard much from medical experts from those conferences. And I think that the university presidents, and more importantly, the athletic directors, are probably very comfortable hiding them in the closet, if you will, not to hear from them. But you're absolutely right, Jesse. UNC and Duke are excellent academic institutions with medical experts that are just as good as the Stanfords, the ASUs, the Northwesterns out there. And I'm sure they have concerns that are no different than their colleagues in the Big Ten and Pac-12 conferences. I just think that those voices right now are being muted, and maybe one day they'll come to light, and maybe they'll come to light a little too late in terms of what we can see in terms of a pandemic spreading. And don't get me wrong, I'm not rooting for those three conferences not to get off the ground or not to have a football season. I just think with the nature of COVID-19, it's not, in my opinion, feasible to play a sport as scheduled that cannot be in a bubble environment. So you see the successes of the NBA, the NHL, and maybe on the collegiate level, basketball and hockey can succeed if it is feasible to have a bubble environment. It's impossible to have a football being a sport in a bubble environment, and that's why I'm not as optimistic as probably others that the SEC, ACC, and the Big 12 can really have even a 10-game schedule that's going to be played in the fall.
I know beyond Pac-12, Big 10, Mountain West, collegiate conferences shelving fall sports, high schools are doing it around the country too. So how does this impact recruiting?
That's an excellent question. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but just think about it from this standpoint. Your recruit that's deciding between SEC and the Big Ten. Let's say the SEC is going to play its whole schedule. But as a member of a class of 2021 who's graduating high school early, which is a trend we see more and more in recruiting right now, you potentially can come to a Big Ten or a Pac-12 school in January in your first month of college and on paper have a chance to play right away. Now, does that entice you as a recruit, let alone a high-level recruit who believes they should be playing as a true freshman, to now choose a Big Ten or a Pac-12 school over an SEC school or an ACC school? I mean, that's one issue that happens with recruiting. I don't think it's really going to affect the 2021 class that much, because a lot of high school players, because of the uncertainty of COVID-19, already made their decisions and did commit to the schools of their choice. If you have followed the recruitment of Arizona State, you find a good number of players that are located 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 miles away from Tempe, committing to the Sun Devils sight unseen. And granted, that's a byproduct of the recruiting dead period being as long as it is, the longest I remember ever been, and I've been doing this for 20 years. But the fact that a lot of recruits are just feeling more secure with that early commitment and may either stick to that commitment just because of a lot of uncertainty ahead of us, or once official visits are allowed, do they have second thoughts? And not that they don't think that Arizona State's going to look great even after an official visit, but now if a school closer to home comes calling that you're able to finally visit, maybe you are going to have some buyer's remorse, so to speak. So football, college football recruiting is an absolute nutty environment. You never say never. You always expect the unexpected. And especially now during a pandemic, I have no doubt in my mind it's going to be a wild, wild ride. The question is, how much does a school like ASU get affected now playing only in the fall versus other schools? Because look, negative recruiting is a tactic that schools would use anyway. And the Big Ten and Pac-12, at least for the time being, have really served that negative recruiting aspect on a silver platter to the other three Power 5 conferences.
Why can't the NCAA shut everything down for the fall?
Wow. That could be like a 6-hour podcast on that. The NCAA has proved to be so toothless when it comes to football. And it's crazy because they have so much power over basketball.
Mhm.
But when it comes to football, it's almost like they're not trying. And we heard so much fodder, even before this pandemic, about the Power 5 conferences saying, the heck with it. You know, we're going to do things our own way. We're going to branch off from the NCAA. And trust me, everything that's transpired in the last few months is not making the Power 5 conference do a 180 on that notion that already was planted in their head. It's really, really unfortunate. I'm not the first and the last media person, or just in general, coaches and athletic directors criticizing the NCAA, how they absolutely did not even try to bring all the Power 5 conferences together, try to have as many uniform decisions as they can. Mark Emmert, the NCAA president, is hands-off in a very, very embarrassing manner. And here we are, 3 of the Power 5 conferences basically marching to the beat of their own drum. And that sets such a bad precedent. And really shame on the NCAA for not even trying to grab the reins early on. And now it's just absolutely out of their control.
Wow. Evan, you got anything else?
Yeah, I had a question that's not really related to the football side. I can imagine this creates a considerable amount of headaches for media members like yourself. How do you come up with content ideas when there's no sports going on?
Yeah, excellent question. We really just devote a lot to recruiting. We had definitely some on the deck articles that we're going to deal with fall camp and which players we expect to step up, and just position by position breakdown. And obviously all of that has to be on hold, and hopefully we have a good reason come November, December to bring those articles to light. So right now it's just really focused a lot on recruiting. I mean, sure, we're going to have some stories probably with the angle of now that the full sports have been postponed. What do the various ASU coaches think about that? But it's definitely a period of time we have to be creative. So I think you can always lean on recruiting. With Arizona State's recruiting class is pretty full, but if the visits do take place later this year, and I think they will, then there's definitely much to report about visits. Again, we talk about a very fluid recruiting landscape as it is. There'll be some new prospects that maybe are not feasible or viable right now that we have a lot to talk about 2-3 weeks from now, or 2-3 months from now. So that definitely keeps us busy. And we had some Where Are They Now articles about former ASU players. So I think we're going to have to load up on that specific topic for the next few months. But yeah, I think it's been definitely an exercise in creativity for all beat writers. I'm not alone in this boat by any means, but when it comes to just doing your job or just living life during the pandemic, you have to roll with the punches. So creating content just kind of falls into that box.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it was like another postponement story like the other day. But hey, it gives me work, and I don't know. It's been
probably used to it by now, though, which you have in your back pocket essentially.
Yeah.
You know how to handle it.
And luckily, there've been, for me, since I do work for Hod, there's been three women's basketball players that have signed with pro teams. So that's given me some work. But last question before I get you out of here, Hod. I know you're a huge Miami Dolphins fan. How excited are you for Tua? Do you think he's going to revolutionize the Miami Dolphins?
Well, I just hope that all those injury concerns that teams had prior to the draft about him really don't rear their ugly head. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is one of the better backup quarterbacks out there. If you followed the Dolphins a little last year, they did go on a really nice run towards the end of the season. You like to think that's some kind of momentum they can build on. And heck, Tom Brady finally left the Patriots.
But they got Cam Newton.
Yeah, but I like now. If folks remember when Tom Brady did tear his ACL week 1, and I forget what year it was, I think 2008, 2009, the Dolphins pounced on that, and they won the AFC East. So maybe, just maybe, all the Dolphins need is Tom Brady not to be in the conference anymore to make some noise. But I do like some of the free agent acquisitions they had in the draft that they had. I still think the AFC East might be Buffalo's to lose. I expect the Patriots to take a step back, maybe not a huge step back. I'm not a huge Cam Newton fan, but I definitely know that he has the potential and the ability to maybe not carry the Patriots to the heights that Tom Brady did, but maybe not have that much of a dramatic drop-off. So I'm excited for this upcoming season again, just because the Patriots are not the juggernaut that's been so dominant in the AFC East, but. Just like the SEC, ACC, and Big 12, are they going to have a season that's going to start and end as scheduled? That's probably more in the front of my mind as opposed to a rare AFC East title for the Dolphins.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Ryan Fitzpatrick, from the Valley, by the way.
That's right.
About the free agent signings, take it from a Cowboys fan, I would tamper your expectations with Byron Jones. I don't know if he's worth all that money.
Yeah, well, I like to think that the Dolphins finally have a competent head coach in Brian Flores. I mean, anybody from the Bill Belichick tree is definitely good for me. I mean, if you can't beat him, join him, right? So I'd like to think that the front office in Miami finally got their act together and are able to turn in a good season with the acquisitions that they made. I don't think the Dolphins are a team that's really missing that many pieces. And again, does the departure of Tom Brady just level the field now for the rest of the AFC? So I think the Jets are somewhat behind the Bills, the Patriots, and the Dolphins. But really, those three teams, I think, all have a legitimate chance to win the division crown. So it's going to be interesting. And again, I just hope that there is going to be a season because, like Jesse said before we came on, I'm going to have an opportunity to watch the Dolphins on a much more frequent basis than I have since I've been covering the Sun Devils. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
All right,
and I hate to keep you here any longer, but I think a lot of our viewers are curious as to what exactly it's like being Jesse Morrison's boss.
You weren't here the last time I had Hod on. That was already a question.
I'm
new here. Forgive me.
Well, Jesse's one guy that really keeps on your toes, but it's all in a good way, definitely some left field takes here and there, and maybe some article ideas that do work better than others and come to fruition. But that's fine. I mean, I don't like to be a dictator. I think that when you're out there in the real world after college, you're going to ask to be creative. You're not going to wait for your editor to give you this assignment and that assignment. So I think Jesse is definitely preparing well being creative and coming up with his own ideas. Jesse loves to share tweets. I don't know if that's a millennial thing or something, but there is nobody that shares as many tweets with me on a daily basis as Jesse. But I don't know if that's better than a text or not. I mean,
hey, I feel like I don't share more tweets than my friends share with me. So
okay.
I think our group chat for this show is like 75% Jesse sharing tweets. So
Okay, there you go. Okay,
yeah,
so I'm happy. I'm not left out. Okay, so that makes me feel good.
Media savant.
Okay.
am I though? Am I? I don't know about that one. All right. Well, thanks, Hod. Make sure to check out Hod's content, our content on DevilsDigest.com. Hopefully, we'll have some good recruiting stuff up there for the football and basketball seasons.
Okay. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Thanks, Hod.
We appreciate it.
All right. Welcome back to the Why So Serious show. All right. We had NBA news today, and Jeremy thinks that it is bad NBA news. Giannis was suspended for 1 game for headbutting.
What the heck? Jesse, this is my time to talk.
I called it. Did I not say?
I called that he would get 0 games, actually. I called that he would get fined. I called that he would get fined.
No, I said he would get a game, maybe 2. He got a game. So I'm taking full credit for this decision, and I think it's the right call as well. If you're suspending him,
Evan, listen. Evan, listen to me. You had a whole hockey segment. I just got here. Can you give me like?
Just had a college football.
Now you know how I feel every time Jesse interrupts me. So
What did I do?
in the club, buddy.
You didn't
I
know.
don't know what I'm doing wrong. I plead the fifth.
All right, mute yourself, Jesse. I just wanted to say that I think Giannis should have been suspended for 5 games, maybe even the entire postseason, and the Miami Heat would have an easier path to the finals. But now, he's just going to have to go up against Bam in the Eastern Conference semis, and it'll be a fun matchup to watch.
Okay, so blatant homerism aside here, there's absolutely no reason he should be missing playoff games for that.
No, and I was talking to Jesse. I was talking to Jesse about this earlier. If it were anybody besides Giannis and LeBron, this person would have been suspended for 5 games.
I don't agree. I don't think this is something that in the regular season gets you 5 games. I think they got this exactly right. He misses the final game of the whatever they're calling it, fake regular season.
Yeah.
That's fine. It won't affect his team in any way. There's no reason
It affects the Suns, though. It affects the
league or anyone else for that matter should be missing playoff games for what was, by all accounts, a pretty light headbutt, and he had reason to be upset. I'm surprised Mo Wagner didn't get a game too, honestly, because I thought the hip check, again, was way more dangerous than Giannis's headbutt.
CTE aside, let's talk about the fact that this can very negatively affect the Suns' playoff hopes as the Bucks are playing, I believe, Memphis tomorrow, and if Memphis wins, then the Suns are knocked out of playoff contention. So the Suns can go undefeated in the bubble and still not make the playoffs.
It's ridiculous.
If it was Giannis, he gets 1 game. Chris Middleton gets 2 or 3. Kyle Korver gets 2 or 3. And Malcolm Brogdon, who's not on the team anymore, but anyway, gets 2 or 3.
Listen, Dion Waiters gets suspended for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Well, that's called being a repeat offender, though.
What has he ever done other than
He's never done that on the. He ate some gummy bears. Leave him alone.
He got high on a plane. All right,
So-
Mallory, is there any
No pun intended.
So can we go over these playoff scenarios real quick?
No.
I love playoff scenarios.
Okay, but after we talk about this amazingness that happened in the Miami Heat and who did they play today?
Oh my gosh, they played the
Oh,
Thunder.
so amazing, hey Jeremy.
Jeremy, go to the bathroom.
No.
Jeremy,
Go
bathroom.
watch the
Okay.
talking and don't come back.
Can you give Mallory screen sharing abilities, please, Jesse, so that Mallory
Sure.
All right. Well, let's just go over. So the Suns obviously need to win tomorrow, and they need or the Blazers and Grizzlies to lose. If one of them loses, Suns get the 9th seed and they play
The
Saturday.
Blazers clinched today.
We did this yesterday.
The Blazers clinched today.
They have to play in that play-in series. That's their only chance of making it to the playoffs.
The Memphis Grizzlies need to lose today, or need to lose tomorrow.
Yeah, to the Nets. No, to the Bucks. But the Nets also could. The Nets also could win. But
Also,
they're playing
Antonio
a good team.
is
I forgot.
still a lot.
What are you talking about the Nets for? The Nets are. The Nets are.
No, but there's a team that the Nets are playing that they need to beat. That affects the Suns.
Okay.
I read this yesterday.
And not anymore because the Blazers just clinched today. The Blazers are in the play-in game, no matter what. They clinched.
Yeah, we know that. But there's also how can the Suns make the playoffs? They need help. I don't remember where this. Whatever. We'll just move on.
Wait, no.
Failed
Before we
segment in
move on-
general.
before we
Failed
move on-
segment.
It's
No,
really
wait,
simple.
Jesse, before we move on, I just want to say that if the Grizzlies win tomorrow or the Suns don't win against the Dallas Mavericks, this will not be the first time that they've lost out on a playoff appearance to the Grizzlies on the final day of the season. Because in 2013, the Suns were 48-34 and missed the playoffs on the last day of the season because the Grizzlies jumped them in the standings. So I just thought
Allen, Zebo.
I'd share that fun
It's very
fact.
simple. You ready? If the Grizzlies lose and the Suns win, the Suns are in the play-in game against Portland. If both teams win, the Grizzlies are in. If the Grizzlies win and the Suns lose, the Grizzlies are in. Understood?
Yes.
If both of those teams lose and the Spurs win, the Spurs are in.
Got it.
The conference playoff matchups are set up, by the way.
Right. Which happened today because the Pacers won and the
Pacers-
Sixers lost. So, speaking of Pacers and Sixers and Miami Heat,
Oh my gosh, no Miami.
today in the Miami Heat,
This guy
And-
follows me on Twitter
How?
because
he
I'm
follows a bunch of people.
I'm
But
important.
so this happened.
All right, so really fun sequence here between Duncan.
Let me mute this.
So Duncan Robinson, minding his own business. Him and Chris Paul are right here. Chris Paul pokes the ball out of Duncan Robinson's hand. Duncan Robinson doesn't like something that Chris Paul said to him, and now he's talking back to him. Duncan Robinson's not happy.
Yeah, he has room to talk again with Chris Paul. Totally.
Better three-point shooter. Anyway.
Okay, great. You know who else is a better three-point shooter than Chris
Oh,
Paul?
wait, here. And then this happens. And then Chris Paul, absolutely disgusting behavior from Chris Paul, throws the ball at Duncan Robinson. Disgusting behavior. Look at this.
Let's watch this replay.
Let's see how bad this really is.
Disgusting behavior.
Suspend him again.
Right now. Disgusting behavior. Then they come back and make a shot. Oh, he's a little hurt. He's a little. No. This is the best part.
Enough of that.
Dude. No, actually, you're missing. Actually, you're missing the best part. You can't do that. What the heck? What's wrong with you?
I mean, I'm the
The
No.
host.
host
Okay.
of the show.
So
and
Jimmy Butler has his teammates back here. You ready for this? You ready for Jimmy Butler to bowl over little Chris Paul, give him a little shove down to the ground?
Foul.
Yeah. Little talking between Jimmy Butler and Chris Paul. Chris Paul not liking that because, he's old. And now we got a little post-game interview action for you. Mallory has that
Why
ready.
are we going through this?
Oh, why do we need this? This is ridiculous.
Okay, I'm gonna stick up for
This
Jeremy
is
here. I
ridiculous.
actually like that from Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, sticking
You
up for his
don't
team.
see a lot of team togetherness in basketball. I feel like that's a great play. Guy
Because
just
I
threw the
was-
ball. Guy just threw the ball at your teammate. Run him over.
In the NBA.
Run him over.
There isn't in
I was watching this, and I said, oh, put Udonis Haslem in because Udonis Haslem will, fight back. I was not expecting Jimmy Butler to fight back.
And
but-
here's what Jimmy said after the game, 16 seconds.
I see in a mask. They're in a bubble.
Yeah, I'm not gonna throw the ball at my teammate like that. So yeah, I'll get a turnover, get an offensive foul, but we don't do that here. So you mess with one of my guys, especially one of my shooters, then you got to deal with me and everybody else.
That's right,
There he
Jimmy.
is.
That's right, Jimmy. That's right, Jimmy. Tell him, Jimmy. Tell him.
Exactly.
Championship mentality. Championship mentality.
I have no control over my own show.
This is not your show. It's
It's
our
our
show.
It was my concept and my idea.
Okay, then I think here's what we do then. We all leave Jesse and start our own show. If it's his show, let's all leave and start our own.
I mean, honestly, I would get to talk more.
Jesse, we all know you want to. Put it on the poll. Does Jesse want to talk more?
Listen, I retired from the talking business and got a job in the let others talk through my writing business. So
it's a lot more fun that way.
Oh, it is absolutely 100% more fun.
What? No.
What to say?
My goal is to somehow make takes on national sports radio for 12 hours a day. I just want to go on everyone's show and just have my own takes. If I can be on wall-to-wall ESPN radio, then the world needs more me.
No, it doesn't. Anyway,
get a really big settlement somehow, and just buy your own radio station.
Do a little slip and fall in the mall.
Yeah.
Pull a Jimmy McGill.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody gets that reference, better call.
No.
All right. Well.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
Go ahead, Morrison.
I'm first.
Yeah, because you're the only one that has one.
Yeah, because the world needs more you, eh?
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Yeah.
MLS, what are we doing? Like, you just bubbled your league only to not bubble your league and play a game tonight with Nashville and Dallas, the two teams that had to be out of the bubble with and they allowed fans. The fans were well socially distanced. I'm not ripping them for that, but
look at this big group right here.
Why don't you open up the picture?
It's pretty well socially distanced.
Dude, there's a group of 10 people sitting
there. Yeah, they say 10 or less. The CDC says 10 or less.
Tell me that you live with those 10 people, and then we'll talk. But if
they might not live with them, but they might all know what they're doing and might have formed their own little. You never know. But
it's not a good idea.
But it's not like the whole thing's not a good idea.
Especially with the two teams that got COVID and got kicked out of the MLS's back tournament. Then they're gonna come back.
There's gonna be an outbreak, and it is like
they're coming back and having fans at a game. What are we doing, dude?
The thing.
What
are we doing, or your what are we doing?
I have something to say about this. I live in Dallas, and people here just have such a whatever attitude about the coronavirus.
That's the entire United States, Evan.
Not really, though.
Yes, Evan. Yes.
Well, I haven't left Texas in a really long time, so I have no way of knowing that. But
I know a friend back home in Virginia that posts on her Instagram every day, and she's
as I was saying, people here just don't take it seriously. So I'm not surprised that this was the first place where they did this, in spite of these two teams not having played in MLS's back because, like Jeremy said, a bunch of players tested positive for corona. But, yeah, the Star, which is the Cowboys practice facility, has like a nightclub inside of it, and every night there's like 100 people there. Like, they still haven't closed it, and the Cowboys are gonna be practicing there like starting this Friday. So that's just kind of how things are done around here. It seems like they just they just live life.
You guys
go ahead.
Did you guys see the Sturgis bike rally with 250,000 people? And there was a concert with Smash Mouth, and they were all everyone was just so together, and the Smash Mouth's lead singer was just like, I'm tired of COVID. And
yeah, we're the only country in the world that'll get tired of something and decide that it's over even when it's not.
I mean, only a minority of the country, though.
What? Only the minority of the country?
Only a minority.
But a very large minority of the country doesn't take this seriously, and that's the problem. It's a very large minority.
Another thing is,
not being serious now.
This is a biker convention we're talking about. Do we really expect bikers to follow the rules? or be like hygienic in any way, shape, or form.
Mallory.
I'm more surprised that they like.
No, we're not dissing bikers. Okay?
What? I mean, yeah, honestly, there's a lot of biker gangs out there. I don't really want them on
Yes, we do.
our
Yeah.
back. So, that's probably a good idea. Good job, Matt, right there.
Thank you. And I can recall when I was younger, they would all assemble in the Burger King parking lot on Sunday morning. I have no idea why, but they would.
Were they a biker gang, though, or were they just a group of old people that rode?
I don't know. And at the same time, why the Burger King parking lot?
Are we allowed to put this on the poll? Can you tell if it's a biker gang or just a group of old people that like to ride motorcycles?
No,
I love how contemptuously Jesse said old people there. What do you have against
like
the
people
old,
that
bro?
like you just see a group of like old white-haired dudes with their
it's a midlife crisis, basically.
No,
Is it a biker gang or is it a midlife crisis? Put it on the poll.
Stop.
Every
No,
time
no.
I see a Harley tricycle, like one of those big like Harley trikes, you know what I'm talking about, with like the stuff for like travel on the back. They're always driving down the road on like the interstate, and sometimes they'll be super biker, but then sometimes you'll see like regular tennis shoes, and then you'll be like, oh, this is just a midlife crisis.
Put it on the poll.
No.
Do bikers always meet up in the Burger King parking lot?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Put it on the poll.
Just stop. All right.
That's very angry. Does anyone else have a what are we doing, or is MLS?
Yeah, mine. Stephen A. Smith.
What?
No. His ideal of what I'm talking about makes some sense, but at the same time, it's like, okay, Stephen A. So he believes that with the teams that are leaving the NBA bubble in Orlando at Disney World, that the playoff teams should be allowed to have a family member or two be able to stay with them. Now, of course, there's some NBA players that are not married, might not even be in relationships, but Stephen A. thinks that they should be able to have a +1 in the bubble.
A conjugal visit.
Yes, the conjugal visit. Yes. So, AKA for you know what, baby.
Baby.
So, Stephen A., I know you're. I respect your opinion, but I think you've got the baby on your mind. So, what are you doing?
I mean, I don't think it's that bad of an idea because
No, it's a great idea. They should have LeBron's family should be in the bubble. No, LeBron's family should be in the bubble.
Well,
But
they're allowed to have family members coming pretty soon.
yeah, but
Yeah, family members are allowed to come pretty soon.
Yeah.
all right.
But at the same time, we've predicted that this bubble is going to get ruined by some outside people. So
Yeah. And it will be.
yes, so
I mean, someone's gonna break protocol. I don't know if it's gonna ruin the bubble, but someone's gonna break protocol.
I give it midway through the first round of playoffs till something happens.
Major League Baseball.
Wait, do I
My
not?
what-
Do I
Wait,
not
I
get to go?
thought I said, does anyone else have a what are we
Yeah,
doing?
you didn't let us answer.
I did, Matt.
You always have what are we doing?
Yeah, Matt answered, and then the rest of us were gonna go, and then you cut us off. That's what happened here. So, anyway, my what are we doing? Honorable mention to the officiating crew for that Boston Carolina game. That Charlie Coyle goal should not have counted, but we've discussed that already. So, my official what are we doing is Kyle Dubas, the GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs. They had an end of season press conference today, and it went about as well as you could have expected. Our dear friend Kyle was again very disrespectful to the Toronto media, who they ask a lot of tough questions, to be fair. They write some scathing articles, to be fair. But when asked if there was a possibility that the core of the Maple Leafs wasn't good enough to win a Stanley Cup, Dubas gave a very snarky one-word answer and simply said, nope, and moved on to the next question. I feel the need to bring this up because this is a team that did not make the playoffs this year in what was supposed to be their all-in year. Kyle made a trade in which he gave up Nazem Kadri, who I don't know if you know this, currently leads the Colorado Avalanche in playoff goals, traded that guy for Tyson Barrie, who was a disaster for Toronto this year, and Alex Kerfoot, who is a third-line center at best. The 3 years before that, this team was a first-round exit. So I understand that he's maybe a little upset and maybe a little bit guilty that he's being asked this question. But if you're the GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs, you talk to the media. You don't give sarcastic, one-word answers when asked if there's a possibility that your team isn't good enough and you haven't won a playoff series in 16 years. Kyle, what are you doing, bro?
Mallory?
Okay, mine once again is Jeremy.
Yes.
I just like picking on Jeremy. I was getting ready to drive in Montana today for the first time. I hadn't driven, and I had noticed while in the passenger seat that there are these like yellow flashing left signals. So I asked Jeremy about them just because like I don't remember all like the rules of driving, what the yellow turn signals, like the flashing ones, mean. And he goes on to tell me that I'm crazy and there are no yellow flashing left turn signals. I then counted for the rest of the day how many I encountered. There were about 12 yellow flashing left lights. So Jeremy?
Yeah, I don't know, like, flashing left turn lights is a Montana
I don't keep track of that. I'm not going to lie. Like, that is something I have never once thought about. And I really don't blame Jeremy for being unaware that those are a thing. Like,
He does live there, though. And
I don't ever make
Okay,
left turn. I don't ever make left turns at them though. Like,
You should also just blame Jeremy. Just blame Jeremy.
it's also you just use it as if it's a green one.
Raise your hand if it's Jeremy's fault.
Actually, don't use it. Yeah, it is my fault. But
Evan?
It's always your fault, Jeremy.
I just think that's like a really like weird thing to be like constantly aware of. Like, if I pull up to one, I'll be like, oh yeah, like I guess that's a thing. But if someone asks me about it, I'm not going to be like, oh, yeah, no, I've definitely seen those before. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Can we
Yeah.
talk about other things Jeremy does while he drives?
no, stop it. It's not. No. I have another. What are we doing?
What? What'd I do?
Oh, is it actually about him?
No, it's not about him.
I do low-key have one about Jesse, but I'm not.
What'd I do? Tell me. Say it.
What are you doing?
What? Just say it.
That's
Say
what
it.
I said the show be 40 minutes long, and it feels like it's been an hour.
MLB umpires strike again.
Oh, look, enough officiating talk. Baseball. We're
Oh
gonna
no!
make
Oh,
this
I did have one for the Marlins actually.
Yeah,
The
but
Marlins.
they won today.
All right, that's enough of that. We just got to move on with the show. I'm hungry.
I have it. What are we doing?
You've had two already.
Okay,
Two
let
is
me
the
do another
max.
one. This is a good
Two is
segment.
the max. No.
It'll lead into the baseball segment.
You
Marlins blew an 8-run lead today and still won.
That's a what are we doing?
The Marlins bullpen, yes. The
Hey,
Marlins
the
bullpen.
Phillies bullpen's much worse, so zip it.
Okay, Jesse.
Okay, the Phillies bullpen is so bad that that the congressman that represents Philadelphia said he was considering legislation to dismantle it.
Jesse has such a quick trigger finger to mute me when I say something he disagrees with, but yeah, I guess y'all can just pipe
Hold
off.
on. I would now.
I just have no power in anything anymore, ever. I've never had control in the show.
No, you have power, but I also am requesting that you use your power to play the fact of the day sound. All right, and this will transition to baseball.
Are we gonna talk about the
Also, as you can see, this is Don Mattingly doing a nice little swimming motion. This is a little handshake that Don Mattingly does. with the
Okay,
face.
now as we transition to the baseball segment, can I please get the fact of the day sound?
I wonder if this was a good idea. These daily shows. It's
Play the
interesting.
sound.
I'm playing the sound. I'm finding it.
Hey, Travis,
Matt,
fact of the day. We want it now. The fact of the day.
I have two, actually, both from the same game. So the Blue Jays hit home runs in a team record 6 consecutive innings. They are the first team to homer in 6 straight innings, within a game since the Twins did so against the Padres on September 12th, 2017. Minnesota hit homers in 7 straight innings that game. The other fact of the day is Bo Bichette went at minimum 5 for 5.
Bichette, that's fine.
Bichette, he is the youngest shortstop with a 5-hit game that included a home run since Cal Ripken Jr. in 1982. Bo Bichette's 22 years old, 160 days old. Cal Ripken Jr. did when he was 21, 363.
You go if Bo Bichette goes opposite field, it's Oppo Bichette.
Those Twitter memes were awful.
You know what happens if Bo Bichette becomes a hunter and uses a bow and arrow? He becomes a Bo B-O-W Bichette.
Those Twitter threads were awful. I just want to say, like, Toronto Twitter is probably like the most annoying Twitter.
Are you just gonna bash Toronto for the rest of time?
Pretty much. That's why I was born. That's why I was put on this planet. But anyway, I just have to say, Bo Bichette's probably not going to be as good as Cal Ripken, but he does have way sicker flow than Cal could ever hope to have.
He's been amazing.
Young Cal had a good flow. But then he went bald.
Not Bo Bichette levels, though.
If Bo Bichette and Anthony Davis switch places, then Bo Bichette becomes Brow Bichette.
Oh my gosh, no. I had a joke that you said was good.
Dumb jokes.
Hold on, Jesse. I had a joke before the show that you said was really good, and I completely forgot the joke. So if Evan, if you remember it, or Jesse, if you remember it, let me know so I can tell it.
Something about the Buffalo Blue Jays.
Oh yes, no one circles the bases like the Buffalo Blue Jays.
Also, if Bo Bichette throws a ball in the dirt to the first baseman, it's low Bichette.
Jesse, why are the Orioles good?
They're 9-7.
Lineup.
They're like decent.
No, they're leading the American. No, they are not. They are not just decent. They are very good. They are leading the American.
They are 2 games over 500.
They are leading the American League in batting average. The lineup's good. The bullpen's solid. The starting pitching's not been that bad. Orioles are making the playoffs. Orioles. I'm saying it right now. I'm declaring it right here. You can save this clip. You can put it on to TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat. Throw it out to the world. Send it to TV stations. I'm telling you right now, the Baltimore Orioles, they are making this 16-team playoff, and they're not only making it, but they're making it as the second-place team in the AL East behind the New York Yankees. Yes, right now, saying it. All right, Juan Soto hit a big home run. Let's look at it. We like the big home run.
By the way, you've taken the opportunity to do very well against a very poor Philadelphia Phillies bullpen.
And
I did not mention that already.
You have old friend Tommy Hunter on your team.
Tommy Hunter doesn't pitch much.
He pitched yesterday. He pitched 5 times this year.
Bo Bichette is so good in Buffalo, they're going to rename it Buffalo.
And stay away this time.
We got to share the screen because we have another one. We have another home run.
And this one was actually a tank. Like,
this
isn't your run-of-the-mill 432.
This went into the upper
bullpen.
like
this is an absolute.
It's almost out of the stadium.
This went into the upper deck concourse.
Whoa! The camera guy can't even follow it. I don't know where the ball is. Anybody else? Oh, there it is.
The top of the stadium. The top of the stadium that no one will go to.
Look at this camera guy. Look, poor camera guy. Just I don't even like. Do you actually see the ball land like at any time in this?
That's the problem. Can I just say that it is? I don't know why it seems this way, but I feel that you cannot see where balls land this year of all years. The year where there's nobody in the stands, the year where there's tarps, as you see in this clip, tarps on top of seats in the outfield. Shout out DraftKings Sportsbook. But it seems like, who was it? Jay Bruce hit a home run last night. I couldn't see where it landed. I don't know if it landed in the second deck or the first deck, if it landed on the concourse, if it went out of the stadium. Like I think that's a problem, is that we can't see where these balls are actually landing.
Yeah, because they're white baseballs, and the fans, you can always see them bounce off the fans. I don't know.
Where
I'm putting up
fans
the poll.
are like following them, and then they
What happened to Mallory?
She's watching the hockey game.
I said,
I kind of wish I was doing that right now.
Bo Bichette opens a pizzeria. Doe Bichette.
What did I say?
Jeremy,
about
I hate you.
Day out?
oh, that's Evan's first hate of Jeremy. By the way, since Mallory's not still
I got
on the
polls.
show,
I got the polls if you'd like. If you
I
want me
said,
to read them.
no. I said, is Juan Soto's home run still traveling? Yes or no? And also, is Mallory there? Because I kind of want her to talk about Big Brother.
Yeah. Edgar
No,
Allan Poe Bichette.
I have not watched Big Brother, so please save your Big Brother talk for another night.
Mallory, can you talk about it without spoiling things?
I mean,
Isn't that like what she would talk about? Like what
I walked out when you guys were talking about HBO.
Yeah, Matt, walk out.
Nah, I don't care. I'm not even gonna pick. I don't even think I'm gonna watch it. Maybe I'll catch up, but go ahead. I'm not gonna pay attention.
Okay.
I think I already pretty much spoiled everything yesterday. So what I want to talk about tonight is Kevin.
Kevin and the Nicoles. First of all,
Nicole F.
No, first of all, Nicole A and Nicole F. They give me such bad anxiety.
Bachelor.
I don't know. Hannah, is it Hannah F? I think it's Hannah F.
No, there's a Hannah B, a Hannah A.
Jeremy, let's both walk out.
Anyway, what I was saying is both Nicoles give me such bad anxiety because they look scared at all times of the day.
I mean, I would be scared if I were in there too.
It's just they're so nervous all the time. It worries me for them. It worries me for their health.
Well, no, Nicole A had a rough week because she was a have-not. Therefore, she was sleeping on an uncomfortable bed. She could only eat
Right, but
slop.
she's walking around the house until like 6 a.m.
Yeah, because she wasn't eating any food. But Kevin was going up to people, promising everyone safety, trying to make alliances. He asked Enzo to play for him in the veto. Really bad choice because that's Cody's ride or die, and Cody is the HOH. Are you okay, Jesse?
I tried these. They're really bad.
They're kind of spicy.
No, they're just bad. Keep going, Mallory. I'm sorry.
Well, we've got some final twos forming. Enzo and Cody. We've got Davon and Bailey. We've got Nicole F and Ian. They call themselves the Millions Club because they're the only two previous winners of the show. So they
500,000 times 2 equals $1 million. And there you go. And then Tyler has a final two with everyone.
Yes.
Yeah.
We thought Tyler was staying low key this year because he made deals with everyone on Big Brother 20, and we haven't really been seeing him doing much game on the feeds. But today there was a whole segment of him doing what he did best last time he was on.
Well, it's
agreeing
because
to everything anyone says.
He can't be mean. He like, what is he
It
supposed to
worked for
say?
him
Like
last time.
people come up to him and they're like, "You and me to the end." And what is he supposed to say? No, like.
Yeah, because if you say no, then they're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna like vote him out.
Yeah.
So Tyler,
If he like said, "I'm trying to keep my options open," that's like a red flag. Like.
I think Tyler once again is in a great spot in this game.
Yeah, 100%. I think his face just
who
comes
else
off as
is?
likable.
I think Danny is staying low key and is in a
she's
great
one of the
spot.
best players of all time. Like I think people are kind of forgetting that.
I think Janelle is like the best player in the house right now. Because like you don't have Derek, you don't have Dan, you don't have Rachel, you don't have like the iconic like people that you want. You don't have Paul, and people didn't want Paul in the house, but Paul is undoubtedly one.
I think it would have been really
ever.
interesting to have Dan and Derek on the show.
They're like close friends. That's why they didn't, because like they would just automatically work together.
Dan and Derek,
Yeah.
and then Memphis and Cody.
Yeah, that would just like Final Four to the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Big Brother talk.
Nice. I'll watch the episode at some point. Is tomorrow's episode evictions? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
live episode tomorrow.
Live eviction and possibly HOH competition.
Yeah, so the head of household competitions, like sometimes they do them at the end of the episode where it's like a
Go Vancouver!
SN wasn't. Now it's working up, and now or maybe. Hold on. Let's see.
Roy Stetcher, eh? He doesn't score a lot.
Wow.
Oh,
I must
God.
be behind. If
Bennington
that's-
really didn't have a chance at this one.
Hold on.
Which game is this again? Canucks?
Vancouver, St. Louis.
Oh, Bennington did have a chance. Close the elbows. Close the elbows, Bennington. Come on.
Is there?
Matt, polls?
Wow, you guys are ahead of me, or I'm that behind on my cable. Let me share a funny story from my world real quick. So, if you don't mind.
Of course.
So,
Go right ahead, of course.
what's that? Yeah. So, on the newscast I was producing tonight, my anchor was reading a script, and so she was introducing an interview one of our morning anchors did with a guy named Bart Thompson. Bart Thompson is the head of the Nevada Interscholastic Athletic Association, the high school governing body. But she apparently, it came out Bart Simpson, like the character from The Simpsons. So my EP caught it right away. And I knew so this poor anchor, her name's Jacqueline. She was in one studio, and then our other anchor and our weather guy are in another studio. So they caught it right away. I think my director caught it. I didn't catch it. My EP caught it, and I told her that definitely did not say Bart Simpson in the script. And now I just get a text from my anchor saying, I guess I said Bart Simpson on air, but. Anyway, let me read over the polls. It's one of my favorite things to do on this show. Now we'll start with, do you prefer Hollywood Video or Blockbuster? 83% of respondents say Blockbuster.
Hollywood
They revived their Twitter.
Yeah, they have a good Twitter.
No, they hadn't tweeted since 2014, and yesterday they tweeted 2 tweets, and then that was it. And they went back.
They're also having a Travis put this, I think, on his Instagram story. The lone Blockbuster remaining in Oregon is being transformed into an Airbnb, which is pretty cool.
There's some pretty cool Airbnbs in Portland, actually.
Hollywood Video was closer to my house, and I liked the sign more, so Hollywood Video wins for me.
Never was a video renter. Well, my parents weren't, so.
We did it.
I don't even know if we had a VCR. I had a portable DVD player, and I have a bunch of DVDs at home. But, nowadays you can buy those at Walmart.
Scooby-Doo on tape.
Should the Cardinals – okay, I did have a VCR, but we never rented movies.
I had a VCR. We had Harry Potter, the first Harry Potter movie recorded on it. I didn't really know what I was doing when I was like 6 years old. And so – or I might have been 8, I think. But I went in and accidentally recorded
15 minutes of Sports Center.
15 minutes of a random Sports Center segment instead of that movie.
Should the Cardinals be removed from Major League Baseball? 83% of respondents say yes. Is Dish Network, always in a battle with a media company? Whether it be Scripps, whether it be...
We were in a battle with them for a while.
So was my company.
My company was in a battle with them for a while.
Yep, 100% of our respondents agree. They're always in a battle. Dish Network. With the Hopper is their DVR thing that they promote that you never see promotions for. But Patrick Mahomes, by the way, is the new spokesperson for Sunday Ticket, or shall I say animated Patrick Mahomes. Is the new spokesperson for Sunday Ticket, and it's him and some other animated dude going on a couch traveling throughout the country, which is pretty cool. The Mannings were the best Sunday Ticket spokespeople, by the way. Is the year after your team wins a championship a meh year, aka do you really care about what your team does the year after they win a championship?
Yeah. If you had the Heat in 2012 and 2013, back
Well,
to back.
that's if you really think that your team has a shot. We're excluding the teams that really have a shot of back-to-back titles or like three-peats. We're talking
like any baseball or football team, essentially.
We're like the 2011 Dallas Mavericks or the Washington Capitals.
Or the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah. I mean, you guys almost went back to the NFC Championship, but
we should have with a backup quarterback. But 86% of respondents say yes.
By the way, guys, I just saw the replay of that Stetcher goal. That's a tough one to give up from the half boards.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Definitely
saying.
should have had that
Bennington's
one.
got to close the elbow there.
Is Suzuki going to get 60 points next year? 75% of respondents say yes. Don't know.
How many votes? Because I guarantee you a lot of people. Yeah, that's what I thought. I didn't
It's
think that
early
was.
though. It's
Didn't think a
early
lot of
though.
people were gonna know about that.
Like these votes should be read off a day after, just to let these votes saturate through people's timelines. Or I don't know. I don't make up the rules. I just read. 100% of respondents say yes. Do bikers always meet up in the Burger King parking lot? 67% of respondents say yes. Also, do Burger Kings have big parking lots? That should be a poll question.
Yes, very much so. More than like the McDonald's parking lot is always very small.
No,
The McDonald's parking lot should be a one-way street, but ends up being a two-way street.
The Burger King parking lot? Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Burger King parking lot near my house in Philly could fit another Burger King on that lot. It's so big.
I like a good Whopper, but you got to add cheese.
Yes, and it sucks that it doesn't come with cheese.
Yeah.
But honestly, I will say the double-double from In-N-Out's my favorite burger, but I put the Whopper in the top 5.
Wow.
The Whopper,
Shake Shack's going to be there.
Shake Shack is.
Burger Fi is very good if you haven't had it. Try that.
Burger Fi. Here, let me read the last poll. Is Juan Soto's home run still traveling? 100% of respondents say yes. I'll tell you where I got the burger from recently that's really good. Shut up! You're so ahead of me. So freaking ahead.
Woo! Evan, do a goal horn with me.
All right, let's see this goal. Whoa! Wow, that was a nice goal. That was a nice goal.
Right? 2 goals for Horvat.
The Habit is a good burger place.
Put it on the poll. Put it on the poll. Did the Sedines wish they never retired?
No, I'm not putting that. Mallory can do that. We're done with the show. Follow us on Twitter @the_Y and then so straight.
Good night, Canada.
Quiet, because Travis wants us to be.
Good night, St. Louis.
Good night, Canada.
That's game. They're not getting 2 more.
Yeah.